Joining us now from the clerk's office is the West Bloomfield Township Clerk, Debbie Binder. Debbie, thank you for joining us again.
Thank you for having me again, Tyler. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. How's your team been at the clerk's office?
We have been busy. We have already issued more absentee ballots than we processed in the gubernatorial general in 2018. So we have been really busy in the clerk's office.
In terms of in terms of election worker need, with that extra influx of absentee ballot applications and absentee ballots that have been filled out coming in, how is that need being worked through? Are you moving some of your election workers around to absentees instead of to precincts? Will precincts maybe be closed? Are you still seeking additional election workers than you already have?
Absolutely. We're always seeking additional election workers because we do staff to between 250 and 325 on election day. We also have a group of temporary workers that come in and help prior to an election. And with the numbers that came in, what we did was bring in more and bring people in earlier than we typically do, because the numbers, we could see what was going to happen. And it has been a huge number of absentee ballots and absentee ballot applications. So yes, we do have temporary workers. We are always looking for more election day workers. As far as what we think is going to happen in the precinct, at this point, we're still operating as though it's going to be a traditional election with precincts and an absent voter counting board. But we believe both will be up between the increase in turnout and the increase in newly registered voters in West Bloomfield Township. We anticipate that the absent voter counting board will have historic numbers, but we may not see a big decrease in the polls because we still have an increase in turnout and an increase in newly registered voters. We anticipate both will be busy. Obviously, we're watching the nature of COVID, and definitely that will affect a change in voter habits. So that will affect what we have going on election day. We're watching it closely. We're waiting for guidance from the county and from the state. We'll make adjustments. We'll move election inspectors as needed, but we always need more because we do have people that call off that day. We end up needing additional people right before. So please, anyone who's interested, please call the clerk's office. We'll put you on the list and we'll get you involved in elections. Great way to give back to the community. And it's a great opportunity to get something on your resume or your college application. We have people, any kids who are over 16, we don't have any age requirement, but we like to get the youth involved in the less vulnerable population right now. And it's a wonderful opportunity for them to get something on their resume and on their college application. So please encourage your listeners to reach out and consider working an election.
Debbie, as a voter, we have become accustomed to almost getting the results just as the polls are closing. I would imagine with more absentee ballots, is that going to be a delayed process now? Like, how long could it take for us to get the results of an election?
I actually just wrote a letter about that last night. There is a concern about the delay to get election results now, but there's a lot on the back end that does affect that. We have human beings in an absent voter counting board that we can't release until those ballots are counted. So keeping people for 24, 36, 48 hours is inhumane. So we are doing our best to make sure we can get them counted as quickly as possible. Might it be later in the evening? Yes, there may be a delay in getting getting reports earlier in the evening, but we're going to do our best, and our goal is to make sure that we can humanely discharge our election workers without having them wait until the next day for the results.
Debbie Binder with us, the West Bloomfield Township Clerk on the Oakland County MegaCast. Debbie, in terms of in-person voting, we've talked previously on other shows about the preliminary plans that are in place in West Bloomfield for safety guidelines at the polls. Has anything changed in that regard? Are plans in place depending on what phase of the Michigan Safe Start plan maybe we're in, and how are polls going to look different maybe in these upcoming elections than they have in the past?
I think our plan is to go forward with the safety precautions regardless of where we are in terms of that recovery. So that will include, my election workers will have the opportunity to have a mask and or a face shield. We will have copious amounts of hand sanitizer. We are going to take precautions with pens to have a bucket of clean pens and a bucket of used pens that get sanitized in between. We're going to have extra people and extra staffing in the precincts to ensure that we can enforce social distancing. We're going to definitely encourage mask wearing. And we may look into, depending on what we anticipate the turnout, having a place for people to vote outside the precinct, if like right outside the building, if they're not wearing a mask. We're going to take the most precautions we can. We do need to protect our election workers as well as the public. And I think it's an important time, and most people understand how important it is to take steps to, ensure safety. I don't see that changing regardless of what point we're at with the restarting. We're going to take those precautions and make everybody feel comfortable on election day.
Clerk Binder, the summer months are some of the more common months where we see garage sales and yard sales in our community. That includes in West Bloomfield Township, definitely. We've also heard in the news recently some concerns, some issues even, with the spread of COVID-19 from garage sales that maybe haven't been taking the proper precautions or have had people patronize them that haven't taken the proper precautions. What's the process in West Bloomfield of applying to legally be able to run a garage sale, and is that different now? Are there other regulations now in place due to COVID-19 that may complicate that a little bit?
Well, what we've done, because it actually turns on to the person who's hosting the garage sale, the responsibility. So we have added a statement onto our garage sale permits that says that they have to follow any orders that are in effect from the governor's office when hosting that garage sale at that time. Executive orders are changing routinely, so we wanted to make it that's on them to reinforce that. But to give you an idea, Tyler, over the last few years, we've seen a decrease in garage sales as people have found more online ways of selling things. So those numbers have been going steadily down. However, they're significantly down right now. Normally, by this time of year last year, we had 117 garage sale permits issued. Right now, we have 12. So the numbers are definitely down now for this year, but they've been going down in that direction anyhow.
Debbie, before we let you go, anything else you'd like to touch on today?
Just to remind people that everyone has a right to vote absentee. Proposal 3 of 2018 gave everybody that right to vote by absentee ballot, regardless of what the news is, what you're hearing on the news and it becoming a partisan issue. It's not. It's a protected right in the Michigan Constitution that was approved by voters in November of 2018. If you wish to vote by absentee ballot, contact the clerk's office. We'll get you an application. We'll make sure that you begin that process. Absentee voting is a two-step process. You have to fill out an application where we verify the signature, and then we verify the signature again when that signed ballot comes back. So it is a two-step process, but it is available and a right for everybody. So we encourage people this year, if anyone's nervous about going to the polls or uncomfortable, remember that option is available to you and is your right.
Well, Debbie, thank you very much again for being with us today.
Okay, thank you. Oh, Tyler, can I say one more thing I just thought of that's really important?
Sure, go ahead.
Remember, this is a primary election, which means you can only vote down one side of the ballot. You have to stay in one column, either the Democratic column or the Republican column. You can't cross over. If you cross over in this election, it does spoil the partisan section of your ballot.
Well, that is for the primary elections coming up. The general in November, you are able to vote as you choose.
Correct. August 4th is the only one that affects or any primary, and in November you can vote for whoever you wish.
Debbie, if I can ask you one quick question, does the individual have to come into your office to apply for the absentee ballot?
They can do it actually by mail. We can only hand a ballot to the registered voter or send it to the registered address. Somebody can not come in, for example, and request their spouse's ballot. They would have to do it on their own. So if we get an application, and we can get those digitally, we can get them in the mail, they can go in the drop box on the east side of the building. Anybody can print those applications from online from the township's website, the state's website. You can also apply now online through the Michigan Voter Information Center. As long as we have that signature that matches, we can go ahead and send a ballot to that registered address. But if you do come into town hall, we can give you that ballot. You can get the application, fill it out right then, and we can you can leave with your ballot in hand.
Debbie, thank you very much for being with us today. We enjoy having you on.
Thanks for sharing the important information. I appreciate it.
As always, thank you. Debbie Binder, the West Bloomfield Township Clerk.